Hi, it's Kelly O'Keefe from Brand Federation, and we're here today with Rian Chandler-Dovis, managing partner of the Brand Federation, and we are here to bring to you Beer and Brands. Uh, Hello, Ryan. Hello, audience.
Hey Kelly, it's great to be on Beer and Brands. It's been a while, so I'm excited to have this chat with you today.
It's been too long. We've had to deal with Matt Williams, our other partner, too often, and I'm kind of getting tired of that. So this is a welcome change of pace for me and for our viewers.
Don't listen to that, Matt. We love you.
And Ryan, you are dialing in where because you're in Mexico.
Yeah, I'm still in Mexico. As I was, I think the last time I had my appearance on Beer and Brands. So every now and then, my partners let me jump on a Zoom call to have a nice POV discussion. Not usually over beer, but maybe we'll have to fix that in the future.
No, yeah, the beer thing doesn't really work for you with the gluten-free.
Exactly. I wasn't going to go into my dietary needs, but exactly. The beer thing can be a challenge. The beer thing and the location thing.
Yeah, the location thing is not a challenge. It's a challenge for us that we don't live in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, uh, where it's sunny and beautiful all the time. But that's a perfect lead into our topic today, because we're here today to talk about global collaborations and how you manage cross-border interactions and get the best out of them. How do you understand them? It's a topic that it seems like everybody's talking about these days, but also not everybody gets right all of the time. So we're excited to kind of share it. And just to tee things off, I'll say that this has been a big area for Brand Federation. We were designed to be able to work with people all over the world. We're a fully remote workforce, so we have people all over the world. We work with clients all over the world. But I think that our situation is not unique in terms of working with clients globally, and we all want to share thoughts about how best to do that. Just in the past, year, we've announced a new brand for global organization Mercy Corps, which is now Prosper Global. Very excited. If you didn't see that announcement, go to LinkedIn, check it out. It's a great organization that's an NGO that serves people all around the world. We work with Tech de Monterrey, whose name I always butcher. I
Yeah.
got it right.
No,
Um,
no tech to Mexico this time, Kelly.
no, no, Ryan says it better than I do. Um, uh, Based in Monterrey, Mexico, but works throughout Latin America and the world in higher education, really an outstanding organization. Joe and the Juice, based in Copenhagen, JSW Motors, based in India, United Methodist Church, an organization that crosses borders worldwide. We work with Harvard Medical School in the past year. They have partnerships with their health partners all around the world. Um, AccuFelt, which is based in Australia, the Culinary Institute of America, which again has educational operations across Europe and Asia. And we're even starting work with a new client. We can't announce who they are yet in Saudi Arabia. So we're used to crossing borders in many different ways. And I think what's cool about it is that when you collaborate with our people cross border and our clients cross border, uh, you get a lot of diverse perspectives. It's a great way to get insights about what's going on, not just in our own backyard, but in the world. And that is something that sometimes, I as a citizen of the United States miss out on. Um, it's a great way to bring innovation because people are innovating across cultures. It is extraordinary to see what people around the world are doing right now in terms of building new innovations, new markets, uh, and new ways of addressing consumers. But the most important reason why we're all talking about cross-border collaborations is because almost all businesses are global in one form or another right now. It is a global marketplace. Despite the efforts of tariffs or other things to make us a little bit more myopic, we're starting to cross borders in almost everything we do. We have clients based in our headquarters city of Richmond, Virginia, like Everforth, the technology company, it may be based here, but it's working all across the United States and beyond. And much of their work is being done in India and in other locations. So I think it's hard to imagine the company that doesn't need to understand the importance of cross-border partnership and the way to get it right. And I think that's key to our work here today. So Ryan, I know there are some challenges with cross-border collaborations, but there are also some do's and don'ts. What are some of the things that marketers need to think about if they're working with global clients?
Absolutely. Of course, I think that there are more opportunities than challenges, being that I work cross-border every single day. But kind of getting into that, there's the obvious one, the one that I think most people would think about when you think about this subject, which is time zones. And I found that there's some real pros to different time zones. Now, punctuation, I will say, or parentheses, as we like to say here in Mexico, that parentheses navigating time zones is the biggest headache in the world. And thank goodness there's a lot of tools in Google to kind of help you now. But trying to make sure that everything's set on the right time zone on your calendar, big pain. I know it. Little tips and tricks I have. I keep my calendar set to East Coast time in the US. So one of the biggest challenges is here in Mexico, we don't have daylight saving time. In the US, you still have that very archaic practice, I will say. So what I have to do is adjust each year. Half the year I'm 2 hours behind East Coast time zone. Half the year I'm 3 hours behind East Coast time zone. And so my schedule has to sort of differ a little bit. But I make sure that every time I set an appointment on my Google Calendar, I set the time zone, whether it's something I have in my home and where I live, something that's for a client in their time zone, or something that's where Kelly and Matt and a lot of our team are in Richmond. So that's a little tip or trick. But the beauty of time zones is, we have consultants all over the world. This year, we've worked with consultants in the East and in Europe and in Mexico and a lot of different places. And when you have a big time zone difference, I'm going to say when we were working with a consultant in Indonesia, or when we were working with a consultant in the Netherlands, you almost can get 24 hours of work done in a day. So if you work it right, you get to kind of work your
Pretty
timing
cool.
and then pass it off and oh, it's so cool. I mean, just talk about making efficient use of time. It's so cool. So that's a real benefit that I like to point out about the time zone things that makes up for the headache maybe a little bit. But also the realization that everybody has the same headache. So when something goes wrong, usually there's ways to fix it and it's well understood. Moving away from time zones is that like super obvious one. Something that Kelly and I were just talking about that I think is really beautiful is at the end of the day, we're professional listeners. A lot of what we do is listening. It's research, it's structured listening, but then it's taking that listening and synthesizing into words and phrases that will inspire and move an organization forward. And we can't abandon that core skill in listening. Actually, we need to lean into it further than ever in cross-border collaboration. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's easy to have assumptions about different cultures, different people, different way of processing. Obviously, from comedians to movies, those assumptions have been set up in our minds and are easy to lean into. But when we go into a conversation, if we allow those assumptions to dominate, we miss the big picture. And it is so fun to have your entire cultural identity shaken up and question why you thought something, why something was a part of your understanding of the world when someone else has a very different understanding. Sorry, dogs. That's one of the beauties of living at home. Hope you didn't hear them. But so yeah, Kelly, talk a little bit about that because you're so passionate as well about this.
Oh yeah, I so love it. I'm a guy who has lived my whole life in the United States and I've traveled as much as I can, but I don't feel like I really understand other cultures as much as I want to. So when I immerse myself into another culture, Uh, I'm always joyful about it. It's always interesting. But I've learned a couple of things that are significant. One is that you do need to understand local norms, conventions, cultures, and to really try and understand them as though you were learning them from day one. Wash out everything you learned from any movie, article, et cetera, and just be prepared to learn. And I think that's awesome. Like, one of the things that I enjoy is when there are not only language differences, but also gestural differences, which I really get into. And for example, my clients in India have this kind of head nod. I wish I could do it. A wonderful head bob that they use sometimes in communication, sort of like us nodding. But I always thought everybody nodded. And I was making a presentation and I was seeing a lot of this and thinking, uh-oh, I'm really in trouble here. But it turns out that that's not what they were trying to communicate to me. So just taking time to then ask about it, learn about it, so that we become enriched from that. The other thing I've learned is that sometimes I overly assume that if I go into another culture, that it's all going to be about their world. But in fact, just like I've said, we are all becoming global businesses, so are they.
Mhm.
So almost every time we land the plane in another country, we find a melting pot. And in India, they have folks who have been trained all over the world. They've gone to colleges like Harvard, they've gone to Oxford, they have brought the best together, and of course, they have great colleges there as well. They have markets all over the world. They interact with other business leaders. They own companies in England and in the US and in Qatar. And so we can't assume that just because we've parachuted into another location, that it's that they're all focused myopically on their country any more than we are. And I love that. I think we really are becoming a melting pot of different perspectives, that hopefully we don't lose what makes them unique, but we also have common aspirations.
I absolutely love that. And I love that you got into symbolism because I think it's so much fun. It was here in Mexico, we do this when we agree, which I love and I now do all the time after living here for several years. But it also gets into one of the really interesting things about branding in a cross-cultural environment. So I love to tell the story of just all the things that were behind Prosper Global's name and identity. And, actually, in order to make sure that we were culturally relevant and sensitive, we tested that name and that mark in over 60 different linguistic regions around the world. If you can imagine, with languages with all different characters used, all different sounds, to make sure that there was resonance. So such a simple, clean idea had to have resonance across the globe. And then we had to do something else that I think is really important to recognize in cross-cultural collaboration, which is that different systems have different levels of bureaucracy, have different governments rather have different systems within them. And so you have to think about giving yourself time. So we had to register in dozens of regions that particular identity. And there are some countries with very advanced digital systems where it's a bit quicker. There are other countries we had to register in that were paper systems that somebody actually had to go to a filing cabinet and look through things to find them. And so you have to have a little bit more grace in understanding that just the operations are going to take different amounts of time and have to run through different systems. And the more you can think about how to make optimal use of those times or those moments, the better. I've done a good amount of work with IMPI now here in Mexico, learning that as much as USPTO, just really understanding the way different systems and different laws work is critical.
I think that's huge. Again, we've learned a lot about language. I know part of the reason that Prosper Global is becoming Prosper Global is because it was Mercy Corps. And
Mhm.
so Mercy Corps sounds fine to me, but if you go to France, merci is thank you, and CORPS is a dead body. So it doesn't sound fine in France, and it doesn't sound fine in a lot of places where those words have meanings that can be problematic. And actually, there are many brands that deal with that on a day-to-day basis. Red Cross isn't Red Cross everywhere because it's an uncomfortable name in some places. So they work with Red Crescent in some places, for example. So understanding that even, as somebody who started my career as a designer, what I find interesting as well is the symbols and visual treatments. And Ryan, you'll remember we worked in India with a local designer who did a wonderful training for us on different symbols in India that are significant to them that we might miss. And of course, once you see and then once you learn about them, when I went to the airport afterward, I thought, oh, the ceiling is a pattern of the airport relates to this. So I think that joy that our team gets when we go into these collaborations is a great posture for anyone who's doing this kind of work. Go into it as a child would, eager to learn. You don't have to be an authority. It's okay to say, I don't understand. Tell me more. In fact, isn't that what we all do in research anyway? And be the same way with their consumers. They find out what their lives are like.
I love that. And you bring up another important point, and I'll make it my last in this, but having resources, consultants, or an extension of the team with on the ground knowledge, native speaking ability, understanding of different symbols where there might be an office or a focus in research or whatever has been something we found of critical importance. Whether it's to get a rundown of symbols, whether it's to make sure that translations aren't Google translations, they are transcreated with the right emotion and inflection in place. There is so much power in having people on the ground who really understand and speak the language, understand the perspective, so that you make sure that the work is right.
Absolutely. Well, so that's a little bit about how we found it can be uh, exciting and engaging to work in global uh, organizations as long as you really understand some ground rules from the time of the day to the way that you research it. Ryan, what are if we wrap up, what are some key takeaways in terms of what we've learned through our work with global clients?
I think it's stay open, stay curious with your listening, make sure you have the right resources in place, technology resources to navigate time zones, to resources, human resources to make sure you have that insider understanding. And most of all, just bring your kindness, your openness, your excitement to the table, and then allow others to express theirs.
I love that. And I would say all the same things. And what I've learned is don't make assumptions. Really take the
Mhm.
time to learn and grow with them. I've also learned let them show you their world. So, I had such a delightful walk around Copenhagen with our clients at Joe and the Juice. And then they took me to their favorite restaurants and they told me about their different aspects of their culture, including things like, you know, uh, diving into the really, really, really cold sea after a sauna in early morning, which is not something I've experienced yet, but I do intend to experience it when I go back. And sauna culture is part of Scandinavian culture. So learning with them about their world, it's a way to show that you care, and it's a way for them to show you what they love. And it's a great way to make bonds with people anywhere in the world.
And it's just plain fun. What could be more fun than
I
learning
know
about
this stuff is
something?
fun.
Yeah, so new.
So we've come to the end of another Beer and Brands, and this time, I hope it's made you want to reach out to somebody somewhere across the globe and learn more about them. Almost all of our global tensions and problems come from a lack of understanding of our fellow man who lives somebody somewhere else in the world. And so let's all take this opportunity to do our part to understand people elsewhere and even better, build brands for them.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
Thanks,
you for
Ellie.
being with us. If you have any questions, post them below. Click like if you like it. If there's a hate button, you're welcome to click it, but you can just say that in the text.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.